Welcome to the Corner Perspective. Hi, I'm Bruce Spangler, CEO of the Volunteer Ministry Center. Located on the corner of North Broadway and East Fifth Avenue, the Volunteer Ministry Center is dedicated to ending and preventing homelessness in our community. Oftentimes I'm asked why some folks will remain on the streets. Why don't they choose a better option? Well, I'd like to share with you some thoughts relative to that. It's sometimes quite easy to blame the victim, so to speak, when in reality there's many obstacles that would stand in the way. But for those that we serve and who have difficulty finding housing, these are some of the things that stand in their way. For one thing, housing has to be affordable. So if you have to have an appropriate level of income or qualify for a subsidy in order to make that happen. So sometimes just the mere financial aspect will stand in the way. But apart from being affordable, housing has to be accessible. And what I mean by accessible is that some folks might have a poor credit history, might have a poor rental history, or even a criminal history that sometimes can stand in the way. Despite their greatest efforts to overcome that, it is a very difficult obstacle to overcome for many of those who are looking for housing. But not only should housing be affordable, it also needs to be accessible, but also it needs to be appropriate. There's not only just one type of housing, but there's many types which benefit folks who have a variety of needs. We kind of specialize in permanent supportive housing, even though we use other types of subsidized housing, but permanent supportive housing is an appropriate level of kind of moderate level of care for folks who've had a history of difficulty of sustaining and maintaining housing. So those are some of the things that stand in the way. The other thing is probably the more obvious is simply the lack of housing. We know that many that we serve oftentimes are waiting anywhere from 8 to 24 months just to achieve housing. So that's a long time to wait. And in the midst of that waiting, one is prone to give up, to think it's never going to happen. So that too becomes another obstacle. Those are just some of the reasons why someone might be on the streets for a long time. So I really don't think it's about people choosing the experience of homelessness. There's no question about there are some those who might live more of a transient life. But in my long years of working with Volunteer Ministry Center, that has always been the exception. The rule of thumb is that everybody desires a safe, clean, and yes, an appropriate place to live. And oftentimes of their choosing so that they have a level of choice. So anyway, oftentimes when we see Joe or Sally there on the streets and we would think, well, why don't they do something? Why don't they do something different? I would just like to remind you of some of the obstacles that stand in the way, but VMC is here every day to help folks overcome that and also to simply to raise the needs and the concerns that stand in the way of those that we serve. So I appreciate your support, and if you ever like to know more about Volunteer Ministry Center, I hope that you'll visit us at our website or come and visit us at our location at North Broadway and East Fifth Avenue. Thank you so much.